Hello guys, I am back with the most amazing, I don't even know how to describe this recipe. It's so good. It's a pot pie recipe that I received from my nephew, and it is the most delicious pot pie you'll probably ever eat. So stay tuned. Hello guys, I'm back with the ingredient part of the recipe. Let me explain first that you can use chicken thighs or you can use chicken breast. I'm using chicken thighs. Now, the best thing to buy is the boneless chicken thighs if you're going to use chicken thighs, boneless and skinless. Buy 12 small chicken thighs if you're going to use the chicken thighs. Now, I'm using 8 chicken thighs in this recipe because I've got the really big chicken thighs. They're really large, so I'm only going to use 8. And the rest of the recipe is 1 tablespoon of salt. You're going to use 2 tablespoons of onion powder. Whoops. You're going to use 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. And you're going to use a family size. I'm using the 2 small cans, but it's easier just to buy the large 22-ounce can of cream of mushroom. Same thing with your cream of chicken. Buy the large can, or you can use the 2 cans like I'm using, but it's a 22-ounce if you get the big can. Also, you're going to use 2 teaspoons of black pepper, and you're going to use 1 can of diced potatoes. They're already chopped up for you already in the can, but make sure you drain your potatoes. You don't want to use the juice off the potatoes. Also, we're going to use a 32-ounce carton of chicken stock or chicken broth, whichever you prefer. And also we're going to use 30 ounces of mixed vegetables. You can use the California blend, which is broccoli and cauliflower. Larry does not like the California blend, so we're just using the regular mixed vegetables here. But you're going to use 30 ounces of that. And I will also include the amounts of the ingredients down below in the recipe underneath. Okay, now with that, I'll be right back and I'll show you the rest. Okay guys, this is the part where you're going to make your broth. Now this is a little different than your normal pot pie mixture. So what you're going to do is, we've already shown you the recipes, and what you're going to do, you're going to add in all of your chicken stock or broth. Whether it's broth, you can use chicken stock or broth as I said. And then you're going to add in your butter into the pot of broth. Now I've already put a little bit of butter in there, so I'm going to add just a little bit more, which I don't need that much because I've already added some in there. And then you want to add all of your seasonings into your broth, your salt, your pepper, your onion powder, and your garlic powder, and stir that up, mix that up real well. And then you've got you a nice flavored broth. This is very, very important because this flavoring will flavor all of your vegetables, and it will season it really, really good. Now that we've got all the seasonings in the pot, now you can add your chicken thighs or your chicken breast, whichever one you prefer to use. And remember, if you're using small chicken breast, you'll need 12. But if you're using medium or large, you're going to need a lot less, because I'm actually only using 9 chicken thighs because mine are a little bit bigger. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and put the chicken thighs in there, and then we'll be back and I'll finish up this recipe for you. Okay, we're back, and this is the part I want to show you if Larry will hone in on this little broth in the pot. Remember I showed you where you add all your seasonings in there, your butter. That broth is so rich and so seasoned, and it does the same thing to the chicken. It seasoned it up very, very well. So what we're getting ready to do at this point, we're going to remove all of the chicken that's cooked up in here, and we're going to shred the chicken. I'm just going to remove some of it so I can show you. Make sure you let your chicken cool before you shred it. These pieces are already cool, so you can just pull it apart with your hand, or you can use your fork, however you want to do that. Just at this point, you shred all of your chicken pieces. And that's all you do for this part. I'm going to finish shredding this, and I will be right back. Okay guys, at this point, we're going to take about a tablespoon of butter. And remember, I'll put down in the comments below what the ingredients are. But we're going to take about a tablespoon of butter, and we're going to turn the stove on and get that melted. And what we're going to do here is saute the vegetables in this butter. Just going to pour them in there, let them saute. And get a little flavor from the butter in there. And that's not going to melt very quickly because it's went right into those cold vegetables. But that's okay. Okay. You may have to do it in sections. That's okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to use a larger container. But that's okay. This is the next part that we're going to do. Is saute. You only have to saute them once it starts to get a little simmer going, only for a couple of minutes. One other thing I wanted to mention here is that, as you can see, the chicken is all shredded, but I'm going to have to hurry up and get the chicken into the pot pies because Larry is eating the chicken fast. The chicken broth that we use, remember we seasoned up the broth, we put in our garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and those ingredients. Well, that seasoned this chicken so well, and it turned out so delicious. And it's hard to not eat it before we get it in the pot pie. But anyway, the step that we're doing here is to saute your vegetables in some butter for about 2, maybe 3 minutes. And then I'll be back after I get this part done and show you the rest of the steps. Okay, guys, I wanted to mention here that broth that we cooked the chicken in, you also add 3 bay leaves to that broth, and also we added a stick of butter to the broth as we cook this chicken thighs or breast, and you let that boil for about 45 minutes on a medium, not high. But I did forget to mention the 3 bay leaves and a stick of butter in there. And now, as you can see, I had to switch over to my bigger pot. My other skillet was not big enough. And I said about a tablespoon of butter, depending on how big your pot is. I actually ended up using 2 tablespoons of butter. But we're just going to saute that for a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back and show you how to assemble the rest of the ingredients. Okay, guys, the next part here, what we have in this pot is about a 1/2 cup of that seasoned broth. We're going to start with that to add our ingredients together, and then we're going to put in our cream of mushroom soup, and we're going to add all of that in there. And the smell, guys, it's just unbelievable. The flavors, how they have mixed and meshed, and the chicken, it tastes delicious. So we're just going to add all of this into the 1/2 cup of broth that we put in there. And we're going to turn that on and get that going. Put it on about a medium. And mix all of that in. That was the cream of mushroom. Now we are going to do the cream of chicken. Add that in there. One more can of chicken. Remember, you can just buy the large can. It'd be a lot simpler to just get the large can. And it equals the same. About the same anyway. Okay. Let's get that stirred up. And we also have here our 1 can of diced potatoes. And you can, of course, take the time to dice those up. Let's take that one out. It's brown. You can take the time to chop up your own potatoes. That would be fine, if that's what you like to do. But this is just a little bit quicker, less work. Because as you can see, this is a kind of lengthy recipe, but it is one of the best you will ever make, I believe. That's my opinion. And remember too, also, you can actually freeze these. And I've got a little bit of a surprise. This recipe normally is baked in a large pan, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing this time so that Larry can just take them out anytime he wants. He loves pot pies, but he can actually pop these out of the freezer, pop them right into the oven, and I'll show you what I'm doing with that. when I come back. But right now we're going to get this all nice and mixed. We got the potatoes, we've got the cream of mushroom, cream of chicken, and guess what goes in next, guys? Yep, you guessed it, all of the vegetables. We're going to put all of the vegetables in there and mix that up really well. There we go. That ought to do it. Now we get that nice and mixed up. Well, those are your ingredients for your pot pie. That broth, of course, minus the chicken, but we want to get this all mixed in there. And I'm splattering here. Okay. Now we've got that nice and mixed up in there, and it's got it heated up around medium so that we can get all these meshed together, the flavors. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the chicken in there, but I'm going to have to walk over and grab the chicken, so I'll be right back. Okay guys, now I'm going to add in our chicken. As you can see, it's right here. It's nice and shredded. Lots of chicken. One other thing I wanted to add while I'm adding in the chicken is that as you go along, you can taste it. And if you like a little more pepper, add it in. If you like a little more garlic powder, add it in. Even though these flavors, just as I've given them to you, are amazing. But if you're a person who likes, I'm not a real salty person. I don't like a lot of salt. So you can add, based on what you like, your seasonings. And a little bit of pepper goes a long way. So if you're a pepper person, put your little more pepper in there. Oh, that looks amazing. Doesn't it look amazing, Larry? Yes, he is so excited.
Looks amazing, wife. Amazing.
Yeah, he's so excited about this. He loves pot pies. So we've got a little more chicken here to put in there. And I'm going to continue putting the chicken in there, guys. And I'll be right back to show you how to put these in my little secret for the size of the pan I'm using. Be right back. Okay, guys, this is what I wanted to show you. This was my little surprise. Actually, it was my little surprise for Larry, because instead of making one great big huge pan of pot pie, and then if you freeze it, you got to unthaw the whole thing, we went to Gordon's and found these most amazing little pans. So they're single serve, and I asked him, was this size pan, you know, big enough for him to eat? And he said yes. So I'm going to show you real simply how to make the pie crust to put right in here and then put a top on it. First of all, this is the pie crust that we're using, Pillsbury pie crust. It comes 2 in a box, and you just roll them out like so. Very, very simple, very simple. And this is what we're going to do. You take the pan that we're going to use and you put it onto the pie crust. Press it down just a tad bit. Take your knife. Use the edge that is not sharp and just go right around the tin. And this is going to be your bottom piece. And look at that, how easy that is. You put that aside, you can use that to flatten it back out. But what we're going to do is we take this piece here and we put it into the bottom of the pan, and then you're going to scoop in your mixture, your pot pie mixture. Now, I think it's going to take roughly about, if you level the cups off, it's going to take about 3 cups of your chicken pot pie mixture. If you level it off, about. You want it up just a little bit. And then I've already cut this piece out. Same, identical, same way that we just cut that one. You place that right on top. Perfect, perfect fit if you round the edges of the bowl. And then just press that right down in there, guys, just like that. And voila, you have yourself pot pie. Now, as you can see, we've got some of the other ones. This one doesn't have a top on it yet, but I'm getting ready to put a top on it. And I'm going to actually take these and put them in the oven and bake them. And then the coolest thing is you can actually freeze these for several months. You can freeze as many as you want. Okay, and this is the little plastic lid that came with it. So once you cook the pot pies and you let them completely cool, you can put them, the little plastic lid on, seal it down, and that will secure, keep out all air as tightly as you can. I'm not going to go around the whole edge, but you see what I'm talking about here. You can freeze that, put that right into the freezer and freeze them. I think the directions said about 3 months you can freeze these and they would stay perfectly good. Also, again, this mixture right here. This mixture, you can use this, the chicken breast, or you can use the chicken thighs. The chicken thighs make it, to me, a lot more moist. So that is the finishing of the recipe. What we're going to do now, because we haven't baked any, you want to set your oven on 350? 375. That's what it was, 375. And you bake these in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes on 375. And I'm going to bake these, and then I'll get back with you and let you see how they turn out. Okay, there's one other thing I forgot to mention, the very final step. Once you get your pie crust on your pot pies, take some melted butter and just spread it across the top. That gives it a nice, juicy, delicious, golden crust. And then we'll pop them into the oven. There we go. Okay, maybe one other really quick thing. I'm going to use a fork and I'm going to pierce this just to let some of the steam out. You don't have to pierce it a lot. Just a couple of times. There you go. Now we've got our butter, what word am I looking for? We've got our butter placed on top of the pie crust, and we're going to pop them in the oven. And I said 30 to 40 minutes. It's 45 minutes, guys. 45 minutes for your pot pies. Keep an eye on them because you don't want them to get too brown. And then pop them in the oven. Check on them after about 40 minutes. And then we'll bring them back at the end so you can see how they turned out. Thanks, guys. Okay, this is the finished product. Look at that golden brown crust on there. And of course, Larry is always the taste tester, and he is going to taste it for me.
I'm going to taste pot pies. I love pot pies. This is a wonderful pot pie, and I'm going to try it. And I can't wait because I love them. Nice and crusty. Look at that. Look at that, people. Crust, the food. Look at how it's hot, hot, hot. But look at that. Look at that, folks. Tremendous. This is wonderful. I'm going to take a blow on it in a minute and we'll eat it. Oh man. Wow. Homemade pot pie. Hot. Oh man. It's a hit, people. Like Joyce said before, you can freeze these. We put a couple of them in the freezer. We're going to eat these for dinner here. They're great. And if you like this video, as I say always, hit the thumbs up, like and subscribe. Joyce makes some excellent videos for cooking. Bye now.